let's kick things off with looking at the worst consoles ever in Rank It.
Kicking off the worst consoles ever is Sega Dreamcast. The Sega Dreamcast was an ambitious follow-up to the disappointing Sega Saturn. The Dreamcast featured better technology than its competitors, the N64 and PlayStation. It came packaged with a modem for online gameplay and was the first console with online voice chat. Before Nintendo pushed the limits of second screens, it was the Dreamcast that had the visual memory unit. Yes, the Dreamcast came with everything, except games. How do you kill an innovative, affordable console? You don't give anyone anything to play on it. Sure, there was your Jet Set Radio and Crazy Taxi, but they weren't enough. The Dreamcast chased one of the biggest gaming giants out of the market of producing home consoles. The Atari Jaguar was Atari's attempt to claw their way back to the top of gaming, but what we got was a bulky console and a lot of commercials telling us to do the math. We don't want to do the math, we want to play games. Controversy was eventually stirred up because of Atari's consistent boasting that the Jaguar was a 64-bit console. Third-party developers also did the math and realized that it didn't make sense for them to invest in it, which showed in the lack of games for the system. Also, the games that were on the Jaguar were hard to play given that the controller was unusually bulky and had a numeric keypad. What the fuck? Not too long after the Jaguar bombed, Atari filed for bankruptcy. Virtual Boy was Nintendo's attempt to transport players into a virtual utopia. Instead, it was an eye-straining hell. The Virtual Boy was a 32-bit tabletop console that used stereoscopic 3D graphics to create depth when looking through it. Yes, the Virtual Boy was innovative, but it was very uncomfortable to play. It was criticized for causing neck pain, eye strain, and dizziness. Nintendo's answer? Don't make improvements, just slap some warnings onto that baby. That didn't work. All the warnings had parents seeing red, especially one that warned children under 7 to stay away due to potential permanent eye damage. It got uncomfortable for Nintendo and they discontinued the Virtual Boy a year after release. The Neo Geo and Neo Geo CD were both supposed to be SNK's mark on the home console market. The first of them to release was the Neo Geo that outpowered the SNES. The downfall for this powerful console was its price. It cost $700 US and the games ranged from $200 to $300. Obviously, gamers, mostly teenagers at the time, couldn't afford it. 4 years later, SNK released an affordable option, the Neo Geo CD. Using the cheaper CD-ROM, the Neo Geo CD sold for $400 US and the game started at $49. Unfortunately, it was a little too late. The Neo Geo CD released at a time when the gaming industry was moving away from 2D graphics to 3D, with consoles like PlayStation releasing. Stubborn SNK made the specs of the Neo Geo CD identical to the Neo Geo, meaning it could only process 2D graphics. That move cost them users and the system didn't sell. The Ouya may be the newest console on our list, but it's definitely the worst. A result of a record-breaking Kickstarter campaign by Ouya Inc., the Ouya promised backers a micro-console that would be a cheaper option to 8th generation gaming. Retailing for $100 US, it ran on its own version of Android OS and offered free-to-play games. Almost a year after Ouya Inc. raised $8.5 million, surpassing their Kickstarter goal by 904%, the Ouya shipped and people were pissed. Besides the poor packaging that had the contents in the box fall out when being opened, the long design of the controller made the Ouya hard to hold, especially with cheaply used plastic that barely had grip. Users reported glitches navigating on the system and issues connecting to the internet. We probably should have figured out that this console was a dud when, in an interview, the CEO of Ouya Inc. needed help naming just one game for the console. Like her, we all did because the games weren't memorable and didn't showcase the depth indie games had. esports hot topics, hot tweets, and the spiciest memes. I'm Marissa Roberto.
And I'm Lisa Dwan, the mustard to her ketchup. And this is how the show is going to work. Producer Tyler's got 2 minutes on the board, and we got 4 topics that we will present and possibly argue. Luckily for us, there is a mute button only to be used when one of us gets out of line, and you know it's gonna be Marissa.
What? No, and it's a little dirty today. I don't know why.
It's because we touched it last.
No,
probably.
it was AJ and Brody. Let's blame the boys.
Oh,
Listen, shut up to chat. We like it when you call us out when we're wrong and praise us when we're spitting truth. So let's get to it, shall we? Another day, another piece of drama is a growing fight between Tfue and Faze Clan. In his first public statement since Tfue sued Faze Clan over his contract, the popular streamer urged Faze Clan to, quote, release the expletive contract. Tfue said that he is trying to serve justice to esports through the lawsuit. For his part, Faze owner Banks tweeted out that the org is indeed planning on releasing Tfue's contract, but that they have to go through lawyers first since this lawsuit was unexpected. Lisa, is releasing the contract maybe a good move, or should they maybe keep this thing under wraps?
Well, 100% it's a great move if they have nothing to hide, right? And that's what Banks, the owner, is saying. So it's almost like he can't really bluff this because if it comes out, then it's like over him. What I don't like about this whole situation is almost like Tfue is trying to make himself the martyr. If you watch the video, it sounds very like he's trying to convince us like he's the victim here. Like, I'm trying to do this for all of esports, you know, like this is all of our battle. I'm just like, okay, this is getting a little too like dictatorial speech-like. Like, if you really just wanted to get out of it, your Banks tweeted out that like, if you really just wanted to get out of it, you could have just approached me. Like, we could have talked about this. And I don't think Tfue ever responded to that claim. So it's almost like, is he just doing this for more attention? It's almost like the way he went about it just didn't seem right. It seems too martyrish.
Listen, these guys are really young. Okay, they're really young.
Sure, let's make excuses for them.
No, I don't. It's tough not to when they're so young because people get taken advantage of all the time, especially in esports. And I do appreciate that he's coming forward with something because it makes people and content creators open their eyes to see and realize that they must read contracts put before them. I have issues with Faze Banks right now only because he feeds into the toxicity of esports, okay? He's giving Keemstar all this money to team up with UMG, very sneakily, by the way, because Epic does not want to work with Fortnite, but like this is another topic altogether. Epic does not want to work with Keemstar. Keemstar is now working with UMG because Epic works with UMG to get them to do their Fortnite Fridays, and he's been given money by Faze Clan. Like, it just irritates me, the whole toxicity, the circle of toxicity that happens with these bros. It's the same here with Tfue as well. Like, obviously he was a part of this. I want there to be more positivity in esports, and if this is the way we need to get it, then so be it. I think that the contract obviously needs to be released because we need all the information here. There's a lot of things going around, a lot of fingers pointing, a lot of people taking to arms against Tfue, and it kind of like feels bad for him because he had all of these friends from this org and friends from other orgs, and now everybody's kind of teaming up against him. People that have orgs behind them.
You're clearly Team Tfue.
I'm not Team Tfue. I'm Team Truth. I'm Team Honesty.
Hashtag release the contract.
Release the contract.
All right, let's move on. If you love to hear stories about international relations, then today's your lucky day. Japan's foreign minister asked English-speaking media this week to use, write, and speak Japanese family names first, followed by personal names. That changes a policy that has been in place for over a century and poses a problem for esports. For example, legendary Street Fighter pro Daigo Yumehara would now be known as Yumehara Daigo, which is a switch right there. Do you think esports tournaments and players should follow this policy, this change? So like Daigo, obviously we know him as first name Daigo, but now we'd have to switch it with this new policy.
I mean,
weird.
Yes and no, because you want to pay respect to a country that does this, right? So this is how they address people in their country. And I think that if you're playing tournaments in that country specifically, then absolutely that's how players should be addressed, especially Japanese speaking players. I think every other player, no, because we're not used to that. Like, that would be so weird for me to just greet you in the morning and be like, hey, Dawn. Like, although I could do that actually.
You said it right!
I always say it right!
No, you don't.
Okay, I 80% of the time say it right. And like, it's okay, like, I guess we're friends, so we could do that just jokingly, but it's not something that we need to do out of respect for one another. So
there's definitely no respect here.
Yeah, there's like zero. No, but I think that just going to the country, absolutely, it makes sense that this would be brought up. Why not? This is a sign of respect. This is how you do it.
Yeah, I agree, though I guess it's a big change, especially in the country. Obviously, when you're there, definitely use their customs. It's respectful. But then now it's like when you're at international events, do they have to change their way? If we have a standard where we say first names first instead of last name, it's almost like, are they imposing their culture on us in this sense when we're not in Japan?
Right. It shouldn't happen when we're not in Japan. again. International, yeah, when we're speaking internationally and there are international journalists there, then maybe when speaking to somebody from Japan, that makes sense, right? Because you want to, if that's how they want to be addressed, then fine. I do want Daigo to come forward and say something. Though. Like,
what does he want?
I want, exactly, like this is just an overarching, this is how you should do it. But what do the players actually want? Like, let's ask them, because you don't want to disrespect the player, especially when you're interviewing them. So I think before you start any interview, if they're doing a presser of any kind, just ask them before they get out there, how would you like to be addressed? And then we can solve this issue.
That's right. I agree with you, Roberto-san.
Listen, this week, Real Never Give Up's top laner Let Me announced that he would be retiring from League of Legends. The pro considered retiring at the start of 2018, but inevitably chose to stay with the team. For reference, Let Me is only 23 years old and has never won a domestic title. This raises an important question, Lisa.
What's the question, Marissa?
At one point, should esports players actually retire? Because he's pretty
only
young.
23.
I mean, because they could really damage their legacy by playing too long, but don't you want a title? Like, it's just so hard to
like why stop?
Say,
well, I mean, I think at this point, if an esports player is retiring, it's because they're either not in the right mind space to keep playing, because it's a very difficult job to do, right? To compete in this kind of space, or they literally just mechanically can't keep up anymore, and that's fine. They can retire because of that. In terms of average esports retirement age, I think for like certain scenes, it's a little different, right? Like I think League, the average is kind of like 25, and we also see people kind of go to retirement, but then come back whenever they feel like it. So. Is there really retirement in esports now that I think about it?
No, I mean, they can still stay in the esports scene. Of course, there's plenty other jobs for them out there, even on an analyst desk if that's what they choose to do. And that can, create some longevity there for their careers. Because it's tough to say, like, they're so young. There's so many opportunities to then get into a different career. If that's what they wanted to do, they can take that skill set and apply it to something else. It's just so interesting to watch these players grow and then have them say they're retiring at such a young age. Like, makes me feel a certain way, obviously, because I am Squad Nana.
Oh, because he's old.
Because I am. You didn't even say that word, Lisa, but Squad Nana is real. So, feels.
The question is though, like in terms of legacy. So, do you think that a player's legacy actually gets tarnished when they play for a long time, even past their prime?
It only gets tarnished if they themselves are tarnished. Like if they themselves, like say, I don't know, some kind of scandal comes out about them because they've been cheating in somewhere. They've, changed their input settings, and then all of a sudden we realize that they've been using some kind of cheat. So it's only tarnished if they themselves tarnish it. If they're amazing and they continue playing, why not?
In your prime, you don't necessarily retire, but I think the whole point is like, should you kind of retire at your prime? So that way you have a legacy, you're always great, and when you stop playing, people will still always look at you positively, or wait till you kind of become a has-been and then retire.
I think that just applies to the player itself, like totally subjective. Like, do you want to keep making money and playing video games? Okay, then keep doing it. If you're like super hard and set in the fact that you need to remain a legend and have your legacy remain, then okay, like retire, man. Retire and do your thing.
Glory or money? And we know
it's all about the money.
All right, moving on. A new game console has taken the internet by storm. Called the Playdate and developed by a small publisher and developer Panic, the handheld is radically different from past consoles. Namely, the screen is black and white, includes a crank on the side, and games for it will be released weekly in what is called a 12-game season. The first game will be developed by Katamari Damacy creator Kiida Takahashi, and the Playdate itself will cost $150. Marissa, what do you think of this? I think
Matt is so excited right now.
Oh, is he? I was gonna say Soulja Boy behind this. Crank that.
Oh my God! Watch Soulja Boy actually be behind this, because he's been trying to release a console of his very own, except he just takes other consoles that are already made and then puts his name on it. So let's see if he puts his name on this baby right here. It's so cute though. Like, look at how cute this is. It's adorable. When I first saw this, I'm like, oh my God, another friggin' something that people are just gonna throw away.
It kind of looks like a Game Boy.
That's immediately what I thought of. Yeah, it's a Game Boy feel for sure, but. Think about it. We have games and we play them on our phones, absolutely, and we can do that. We have consoles literally in the palm of our hands every single day. But this is super tiny. This can be useful in a zombie apocalypse. Okay, think about it. When the power goes out, what are you gonna do? You're gonna crank that. You're gonna crank that.
I'm not buying it literally and metaphorically.
Oh my God, because it's too expensive for you, you cheap ass.
How dare you put me on the spot?
It's
That's
true.
not why. That is not why. It's the whole releasing a game, was it once every week? It's
Yeah, but
weird.
it's 12 games.
No. It's weird. It's weird because, like, you know, we're so busy in our lives. When I want to play a game, I want to play a game now. And the fact that it's dictating when I get to play a new game, it's weird, okay? I want to play when I want to play.
Oh my God, because you don't have other consoles to feed that need. You don't have a PC to feed that need. You don't have.
Gucci Belt got consoles everywhere. Okay, not everyone has that luxury, Marissa, and that's the point. See how she thinks?
You have a console in your hand. You have a phone.
Then why do I need to buy this?
You don't need to. It's your option as a consumer. You can buy whatever the F you want. You don't want to buy it, that's fine. I'm not going to throw shit on you for not buying it. I might. Because that's games enough. Matthew Hempstead for sure is going to, because the first game coming out is made by like his favorite game developer.
Why?
It's happening. No, it's fine. And then we'll play the games and we'll crank down when the power goes out and you'll just be sitting in the corner all jelly in the dark. How about
You're
that?
not going to buy it. You're not going to buy it.
I'm going to try to get it first and then see it, and then I might buy it. All right, it's time to check in with streamers in Clip It. Our first clip comes from Miss Kiff again, who is feeling the holiday spirit and decided to revive an old friend.
And you brought him back.
That person naked?
What? That escalated really quick. Where was the naked person? I didn't see a naked person.
Hugging the bear.
Someone clip that.
Nothing.
Show me the naked person.
Yeah.
I missed that completely. I'm just like, I don't know what the hell is happening in that clip.
I never know.
Are you having a party now in summer with the Christmas thingy in the back?
Yeah.
Why are they getting feisty? Why are they fighting it?
Well, some people do like Christmas in July parties. I know that's a thing.
Who the hell?
Oh my God, Camille for sure would do that. Like 100%. Watch it happen this year.
Can we put this on blast? Can we put her on blast? Because
Yeah.
you know, there's two types of people.
Yeah.
People who, you know, are like Christmas a reasonable amount, and
Yeah.
then there's Camille.
Yeah.
Because she likes to support Christmas all year round. In the office right now, she literally has decorations around her desk, and she actually tried to put this like little bell thing on my side.
Yeah.
Hell nah. I am not for that. She is obsessed with Christmas. She is Disney 100%, and we need to stop. That's
Well,
it.
Tyler thinks that she's just too lazy to take her Christmas lights down. Like she actually doesn't love it that much. She's just too lazy to take down the decorations.
No, she loves it. I'm lazy.
And cheap.
And cheap. Why? But she just likes Christmas too much. All right, let's move on. Our next clip is from Hat Chubby, who has an interesting hack if you need to take off your headset when your hands are dirty. It happens.
Dirty. Wash your hand. Okay, go wash your hand. Good.
Good. Okay, so I felt like that was maybe impossible to do, so I wanted to give it a try.
Okay, wait.
Can you help me out here?
Yeah, of course.
We obviously prepared a lot for this. Ready?
My
Look at this.
box from behind
so I have the
the
headset. Thanks, HyperX. Put it further. I can do this. Is too easy.
No, you can't. You're not gonna make it.
I want to get some aerial.
You're not gonna make it.
I'm gonna get ready.
Okay. I'm
You guys.
I'm scared. Lisa. 10
points.
Lisa. I knew it. She wasn't gonna make it, man. Apologies to the people who make this desk, and we didn't do it. Okay?
Moving on.
So listen, it truly is the best time of the day where we scroll the Twitters to bring you all the things that pros bless us with on their timeline. We especially love it when they blow our minds with how we've been doing things like eating chips the wrong way. Mid tweets, y'all ever realize that you can push a bag of chips from the bottom upward and you never have to dig your entire hand into the bag? I feel like a scientist right now. Holy-ish. Yeah, so like a tube of toothpaste.
That's not right. How the hell do you roll a bag of chips?
You gotta crunch it from the bottom. Like you move it from the bottom up.
I don't understand. Why don't you just
Then
like shuffle it so you push the chips down?
I just feel like that was a trolling tweet. Like, you know, when people say that you should put milk in before cereal, I feel like that was one of those. Like, yeah, unless he just had this like brilliant moment, he might have been hitting the green, and he had this like brilliant moment of like pushing the bag of chips up, like pushing the chips up, and then like having the chips just hover over the edge. Like a halo.
That is the dumbest thing I might have heard today. And
Well,
I've already talked to Marissa, so you know that's bad. Anyways, is it ever really a good week of profound thoughts if there's no Jaewon? This time he's showing off with a little selfie. Oh, all right, so it's either the following, I'm cool as ish, or I'm a degenerate nerd. Who wants to take a vote? What are we voting here?
I feel like ¿por qué no los dos, Justin? Like,
did
why can't it be cool, and also why can't he be a degenerate nerd? Like, we kind of all are, right? Like, I've got legitimate shelves with a lot of stuff, particularly like amiibos and like different peripherals. It's just all on display that I'm very proud of. And like, you can make fun of me all you want, but I don't care.
Portuguese?
¿Por qué no los dos?
What did she just say? She can't just switch languages like that in the middle. What did you just say? Did she say something
Lisa.
mean?
It's a meme. It's the little girl. Remember like the taco meme with like you don't remember this? Where it's like she wants a hard shell or a soft shell. Like they can't decide. And then she's like, ¿por qué no los dos? And then everyone lifts her up in the chair and they cheer and they get excited.
You need to stop watching that Spanish television. That channel, she's obsessed with it. You need to stop.
Oh my God. Anyway, you can just spam ones and check if you think Lisa is loco. Okay? Our last profound thought is brought on by DreamHack's announcement of a 100K tournament for women to compete in CSGO and the many toxic messages that followed. Lots of hot takes are flying around. One of them came from former pro Mara Jade, who used to compete and be the only girl on men's teams. She says most esports teams don't allow women, not because they aren't good enough, but because they don't want to deal with the drama of hearing the men whine and complain about a girl on the team. That's literally the reason I've been rejected from teams in the past, solely because I was a girl. Lisa, is this even surprising at all?
I mean, I'm not surprised, but this honestly is like a reflection on, the whole argument whether you should have segregated schools in terms of gender.
Yeah.
This is like the same idea.
Exactly.
And I think it's the dumbest thing in the world, because isolating the genders are not going to help them in the long run, because you know what? Guess what? The real world, there's all of us. We're all together, guys. So if you're going to like spend years in school or be on teams that don't have both genders, you're actually doing yourself a disservice, because you don't know how to interact with each other, right? And it's unfortunate that women in the esports scene have to go through this and lose jobs or not get jobs because of how men or other genders, I'm going to say men and women, sure, can't learn how to work together, guys. Come on, it's 2019.
And of course, a lot of men are salting on her, even for this comment, calling her a thought, because she also does a lot of NSFW stuff, like just kind of, they'll take whatever they can to like throw shade on these women who speak out against this stuff, which is totally unfortunate. But I did just host a panel with a Call of Duty pro recently, where he was saying, listen, like his girlfriend also plays professional COD, like, but she can't. It's just been an issue. Like, she can't actually play on a team with men because of the complaints that happen with men on the team. Like, the woman on the team is immediately just kind of rejected and pushed aside. It's very much a boys' club still, and it will remain this way, unfortunately, for a while. Like, we're not going to be able to see co-ed teams really shine, I don't think, for at least another 5 years.
That's
at
disappointing.
Least.
That's really disappointing.
I know.
And just the fact that it's a girls' day on Unmuted today and boys' day yesterday, that was completely coincidental.
Yeah.
We're all about the mixing. All right.
right.
Let's move on, because it's time to get some crowd control. This is where we showcase some of the great or simply dank things the community has been making. So on the topic of things to see, let's check out this first post by the Final Hoss introducing the latest fish skin for Dr. Disrespect.
Oh, God.
The Final Hoss is really killing it with this new skin. That was so fitty.
Okay, Lisa. Yeah. Okay. She's writing all these puns. It's fine.
I wrote the puns. Say it.
It's really good.
Real. Like
I can see how one can get hooked on that skin.
Okay.
Look at how excited you were about it.
I was excited, but it really fell flat. So enough of that. Tyler and I had a lot of fun coming up with those puns, by the way. All right.
Tyler should not be allowed to touch the script.
He touches the script. I don't know where that went. Okay. What I want to know is, I want to know. Stop it, Tyler. What I want to know is, what kind of skin would you want made of you? So obviously this is a fish. That was a fish-inspired skin. What would you want for yourself?
Okay. First of all, no girl should have a fish skin. Let's just throw that out there.
We've eaten fish skins together.
Yes, but like, for sure. But just in game, if there's going to be a female character, we just shouldn't have a fish skin unless it was mermaid related. Okay. I don't know, like a unicorn, something cute, like Animal Crossing-ish. I like cute stuff.
That's disappointing.
Why? What about you? Mustard?
No, I hate mustard. I'm not happy with how this worked. I'm a really big ketchup fan. In terms of skin, I would want something like so crazy different. Like, I don't want to almost recognize me. The other day, Zurich in the producer room was talking about how the new Winston skin for Overwatch, I think it's a gargoyle skin. He's like, it doesn't even look, that's my image. It doesn't even look like him, but that's what I want as a skin. You don't want a skin that looks like something, you know what I mean? You want something new. Actually, I'm really happy with my impression.
That was pretty good. No, I think you and I are just like heavy on the KDA as well. Like we love the K-pop stuff too. If there could be some kind of K-pop skin, like we'd be all for it. And if they look like us, even better. I'm down. I know Mad Scientist in chat is also saying that he's working on a little something for us. So like, I'm just excited about that.
Hurry up.
Moving on, let us ponder the future of gaming. Reddit user Rafaro has some ideas.
Ooh.
It says, crossplay should be standard for all new multiplayer games. Yes, do you agree with this statement, Lisa?
Yes, I think it's pretty. Why are you giving me that look? I think 100%.
Like you're gonna.
Well, I pondered because I want to give it some thought. You know, try it sometimes, Marissa. So I think, yeah, for multiplayer games, crossplay should be a thing because I don't want to invest in a console or whatever and not be able to play with my friends from other consoles, right? Like it just, let's unite everyone instead of segregating everyone.
Back to the topic, I love that. Yes, I do agree with you, but it has to be, PC still has to be segregated. Unfortunately, because
it's master race.
Like if we're gonna get into segregation and race here, PC is the actual, like it really is, because people that are skilled on PC can't be playing against people on console. Like there's the feedback is totally different, the reaction time is totally different, and it's just not fair to for people to be playing against people playing on PC. So PC has to remain separate. All consoles for sure, yes, crossplay.
Crossplay would crank that too.
Crossplay crank that.
All right, speaking of consoles, let's wrap it up with this last post from Poofy_. Ever wonder what your favorite console from the past would go for nowadays? Well, now you can somewhat know. So this image was created sometime in 2016, and so it's not completely accurate, and it gives you an idea of what the cost of the console would be with inflation, okay? So for example here, you can see that the Xboxes and the Wii consoles are about the same price, but if you go to the older ones like the Atari, they've increased substantially. The most expensive one on that list right there is the Neo Geo, which was released in 1990 and cost $650, but now it would cost $1,100.
Yikes.
That's crazy.
A big yikes for me, dog. The Neo Geo especially, that's amazing. Yeah, I saw some other things on there. Obviously GameCube, like just really happy with those consoles. Those are the consoles of my childhood, right? So
what was your first one?
Nintendo.
What was your first one?
Well, my dad had an NES, so that was the first console I ever played on, but the first console we ever got gifted to us from Santa was N64, and that was like the greatest Christmas of all time. My brother and I used to fight so much, and like that actually brought us closer together. We played Mario Kart, we played GoldenEye, Slappers Only. Like that was just such an amazing time. There's nothing better than getting a console at Christmas. If you're lucky enough to have one, like you know what I speak. So let us know in chat what your favorite console was of all time, what your first console was, and just share those memes with us. We love reading them. But that's all for Unmuted today. Remember, you can always hit us up on our socials. Just say hi or send us stuff to react to, okay? Someone type an exclamation mark right now to see our socials, and we'll see you next time.
Marissa, we didn't have gas, but we suffered something else yesterday.
We ingested a lot of like gasoline gas yesterday.
Yeah, oh yeah, we did ingest a lot of gas.
Gasoline gas?
Yeah, I was getting nauseous.
Yeah, was it probably in there? They're just
There's stuff on it now?
Yeah,
Or stuff on it?
Step on it now. Step on it. Step on it. Step on it.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Step on it.
It was
Yeah.
Run it back. Run it back.
Oh my gosh!
Run it back.
No, that is so stupid.
A quick shout out to Red Bull for fueling us while we game in the green room. And you know what, to you guys for always showing your support, which you could continue to do so by subscribing to us on Twitch, and you'll even get some sick emotes out of it too. In a bit, Marissa and Nick are going to be talking to Tsunami all about Dota 2 and esports in 30, but why don't I get you caught up on everything that you need to know in Reported. If you're in the market for some talented CSGO players from Eastern Europe, you're in luck. Gambit Esports announced yesterday that it's putting its main CSGO roster on hold till the fall. The org is now fielding transfer offers for its 4 remaining players so that they can practice competitively for the next few months. The roster does include Doja and Mao, who won the PGL Major 2017 with Gambit. so it's not like the team is lacking talented players. It's been 3 months since Gambit's main team went inactive, and the org said that the difficulty in fielding a Russian-speaking lineup has led to this situation. Gambit will still be playing in CSGO qualifiers, however, it will make use of its Gambit Youngsters team until the fall. And who knows, maybe the youngsters will have what it takes to become the team's permanent roster if they play well. Best of luck to Gambit, and more importantly, best of luck to the players as they try to find a new home. It's not only a good sign when a team benches not only its best player, but one of the best players in the world. Just don't tell Luminosity, who benched their star Call of Duty player Gunless ahead of this week's CWL match against Optic Gaming. In his place, Luminosity is replacing him with the team's coach and former professional player Ricky. As to why Luminosity would make this decision, it's likely because of the team's less than ideal performance in the CWL this season. Despite coming in 4th at the first event of the season, the team fell to last place in Division A with 5 wins and 12 losses. Gunless has statistically been Luminosity's best player this year, but it appears that the benching was a result of out-of-game actions. We'll just have to wait and see if Gunless's benching is just a one-off event or a sign of bigger changes within the org. A partnership between Nintendo and clothing chain Uniqlo has ended in controversy over the winning design. Earlier this year, Uniqlo announced that its annual t-shirt design contest would be Pokemon themed. In addition to having their shirts sold in Uniqlo stores, the winner would also have their t-shirt appear in Pokemon Sword and Shield. That's pretty cool, but of course, we can never have too much of a good thing. The winning design, which featured Gyarados and Magikarp, was found to have broken the rules of the competition because the designer had previously sold the design. The problem is the rule violation was found after the t-shirt was added to the games. As a result, Uniqlo disqualified the winning design, removed the t-shirt from the game, and decided not to award any of the entrants the grand prize, which includes $10,000 US. This sucks, but I have one big question. Why was any of this checked before the winners were chosen?
Down onto the producer, the disarm as well from it to the man's Halbert. It's Robert! Oh my god! Oh, F flipping Y! He absolutely smashes them! Only Miracle and Kerr left alive for the whole Yap's on in! The Yap hole! He's got the control! Miracle, the last one left alive! Mantis pop, he's now been silenced! The lucky shot's there! Miracle's dead! They'll take the top rank! They'll take the game! They'll take the series!
Hello, welcome to a very special Esports in 30. I'm Marissa, this right here is Nick, and we are so thrilled to have you today. Brody is away, so while he's away, Nicholas will play. He's got Dota, baby. Dota 2 action. Nick, it's been a while since you and I have discussed Dota. I think it's been about a month-ish.
Probably closer to 2.
Okay, fine. I know he's counting the days, really, and he has been counting the days since we got to talk Dota again. So why don't you give us a quick update on what's been happening and where we're at right now?
Yeah, so we're heading towards TI, where this was the MDL Disneyland Major was what we got. Dota's a magical game, only fitting that we have a magical place to host our 4th major out of 5. Every point is super important right now, and so we saw some awesome teams, some awesome plays in an awesome place. And it was really weird seeing like Mickey come out and like hand out the trophy. It was really weird.
No, but you loved it. As a Dota fan,
it was both really awesome and really weird.
Yeah, I feel like you're a low-key Disney fan also. You've got some secrets.
The House of Mouse, maybe? I don't know.
Okay, all right. It's in there. He's got it. That sounds like an awesome tournament. Of course, we had to talk about it. Now, we all know Dota 2 is insanely complicated, which is why on the other side of these highlights, we'll be lucky enough to be talking to an expert. He goes by Tsunami, and he'll be with us right after you watch this.
They're collapsing onto Arteezy. The Doom was laid down onto Nisha, but he still has that reincarnate. He's gonna have that second life. Midpoint jumps in. Shackles are there as well. Samel's trapped. He's dead and gone. Secret, they'll look towards Crit. Controls there from Midpoint with the root. Crit's dead as well. Triple kill for the Meepo. There's the buyback for Samel, but he's surely gonna die yet again. He has a running in the trees. But Nisha, he's chasing, he's hunting. Midpoint, eyes onto Fly. He's moving in on the Oracle. The E-Blade's out upon him. Fly's trying his best to run. Shackles down to Samel. It's a dieback. It's a rampage.
But maybe they can still go for the fight. They're gonna blow up. Nice Centaur stun out for Monkeys Forever. Look at the side blades go. They're going for Brax immediately, trying to take him down. They will be successful. Ice Mike is dead, and now Eternal Envy has no supporting cast, so he's slowly gonna be run down. Triple kill for Limp.
The disarm as well. Palmer to the man's Halberd. It's a man. Flipping one. He absolutely smashes them.
Locking down Miracle. They're isolating him, but Old 11. He has the Aegis at least. Old Chicken, he just right-clicking. He's like, please, we gotta get this kill. The Doom will come back alive.
So close.
Will he go down the Solar Crest on him? He's still just right-clicking through it. Holy smokes, he gets all of his mana back.
Crit will happily die for this. He got Arteezy out safely. He's going to take a long time to get bought down. In fact, Samel, X4, the coil, he's onto the four of them. The silence as well. Arteezy on the front lines. He's ripping them apart. 3 dead on OG. Anna, they're trying to fight back, but Arteezy is a triple. It's an ultra.
They just want to be able to burst somebody down. That AM's not going to drop. Bottom lane, look at the jump in from Zai. With the illusions out from the Anti-Mage, they'll make short work of Chalice. He's kind of rough go of it. And now X-Nova's dead as well. Zai cancels TP, realizing that support would not handle the illusions. Maybe he's going to try and go for Zai here, but he's seen dies with the illusions as well.
Oh my God.
LGD.
People will be sure to answer this. They come forward. Manson from Ramses moving the silence. Stun out onto 2 of them. Ramses is on top of Anna. Anna trying his best to retreat. Seb with the Ghost Rail looking to slow them down, block them off. Deafening Blast connects onto the Drow Ranger. Can they finally get him a jump?
Echo
in. Echo onto 2. Shuts down both the Nature's Prophet and the Sand King. Sand King will survive as he's able to get away. Anna still lives. Turns around. They take down a 3rd. Double kill for Anna.
CE is also chasing an extra one here. GH, but Top Man somehow still staying alive because of all that magic lifesteal.
He's alive still.
He can't actually run away, but
he's
he
1-on-4
and fight. Now Yi's gonna come back in, and with his extra damage, that should be enough. Unless the Echo Slam comes down and lays out, and Centaur's actually dead.
Oh my God, he's gonna live.
As well, he's gonna live. He's still alive. Still alive. They're gonna run into Nate, though, who did have the vision. He's able to get the Invincible Blade after the jump. The Hacks follow-up. A Nightmare might just save it until no, the first damage comes in. What an insane interaction.
The BKB pop by Old Chicken. Will it be enough, though? It looks like it will. He's in a lot of trouble. He's doomed up as well. Dark. Then he's going to try to pull. The kick over. Will it survive? It looks like he's muted for about 5 more spans. GH going. There's the PA death. What a play.
Only Miracle and Kerr left alive, but the Yap's on dead. The Yap hole. He's got the control. Miracle, the last one left alive. Mantis pop. He's now been silenced. The lucky shot's there. Miracle's dead. They'll take the top rank. They'll take the game. They'll take the series.
There was plenty of Dota magic in the air in Disneyland, but at the end of the day, it was all Secret who earned their happy ending. Joining us now to chat all about the MDL Disneyland Major, welcome Tsunami, how are you?
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
We're so happy to have him.
Super happy to have you.
Yeah.
Let's get started with Secret because these guys are on a tear right now. 3 out of 4 major grand finals, 2 wins. And for me, every time we go into one of these majors, I feel like Secret is, maybe it's like this is the time that they're not going to be so consistent, not going to make grand finals. Maybe somebody has their number, and it never seems to happen. So Tsunami, from your perspective, what's the secret to Secret's consistency?
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's just every single time people are waiting for them to not hit their standard, but that's not going to happen. Puppy is a grandmaster captain. He knows what he's doing, and it's just more teams are just having to catch up, and maybe they catch up on like a patch by patch basis, but Secret just figures it out too quickly. I think last year Virtus Pro did a really good job at proving dominance, but it was their consistency that was lacking, especially whenever they would show up at TI. But Secret, on the other hand, they don't seem to be struggling with consistency at all. Maybe they would not get like grand finals at like the DreamHack Major, Dream League Major most recently, but beyond that, I mean, they're consistently raking in the DPC points. They're just too strong.
You mentioned Puppy briefly, but we do want to talk about him a little bit more because he was named the finals MVP as he led his team to another title. So talk to us about your experiences interacting with this player and what makes him such a special leader in this game.
I think longevity is the first thing that comes to people's mind whenever they talk about Puppy. The dude has been in the game since Dota 1 and been at the top of the game, easily on my personal Mount Rushmore for Dota 2 of most, dominant players of all time. And I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that he is willing to step out of his comfort zone, or maybe it is his comfort zone, to take players who are just not as well known. Last year it was Ace recruiting on to Secret to be the new carry player. This year it was Nisha, and he's proven time and time again all he really needs is just to see potential. If he sees potential, he's more than willing to put in the effort, bring these players up to like a top tier capability, and it's that sort of consistency that I think a lot of other captains don't have, or maybe the willingness to, take these underutilized regional specialties in European carries and bring them up to, such a competitive level.
So kind of the foil to Puppy is obviously his former teammate and friend, Kuroki here, a good friend of his. His Liquid team heading into this major really needed to make something happen. They didn't have that many points. Their DPC season was not that great, and they made second place. Miracle had an unbelievable tournament. He was fantastic. So how did Liquid bounce back at this tournament, considering their pretty lackluster start to the DPC season?
I was surprised as well, especially at the most recent major. They lost like first round of lower bracket to a South American team that a lot of people did not expect very much of, and a lot of people were suspecting that maybe roster changes were going to happen soon for Liquid, but they, I think, maybe just got like a stronger handle on the patch, and they also had a very, very long journey to the grand finals. They got sent to lower bracket very early on. They had to play like 8 series, 8 best of 3s to finally make it to the grand finals, and you could see that overall the drafts were getting better, the plays were getting better, and it didn't become so much of like a just GH single-handedly carrying the team or just Miracle single-handedly carrying the team. It was becoming more and more cohesive, and that's what brought Liquid so much success in their TI victory, and something that I think has been lacking throughout the earlier part of the season.
Let's talk about Miracle a little bit more because he had a fantastic tournament, especially down the stretch. How important in Dota is it for your stars to just show up, and how can a team set a player like Miracle up for success when he's already playing so well?
I think that's one of the critiques that a lot of people have about evil geniuses right now, is despite them doing well, consistently getting top 3, consistently 3rd place every single time, more often than not, they're not letting Sumail, who is their real showstopper, to, go off on heroes that he's known for. And more often than not, I think Liquid is willing to do that with Miracle. And I think a lot of it comes down to an understanding of saving Miracle's heroes towards the end of the draft to make sure he doesn't get countered out, give him his specialties, his juggernauts, and stuff like that. And overall, the flexibility of letting Matu take sort of a lower priority, which I think a lot of people have yearned to see Matu be more of a, I guess, playmaker, but Liquid finds their success whenever it's on Miracle, and Matu plays his role perfectly. All he needs to do is just help create space for Miracle, and a lot of teams are understanding that, yeah, it's more often than not that if one player is getting sacrificed and maybe you can take advantage of it. It's kind of the same thing with Secret. More often than not, Nisha and Mid One have a very similar relationship where Mid One will take a back seat and Nisha will just, farm until he's ready to carry them to late game. I think that's part of the reason why that made that grand final so interesting, is because those two teams had such a similar dynamic with their mid role and their carry role.
Speaking of teams that tend to sacrifice a player, Ninjas in Pajamas, with Fada obviously being the player that tends to get a little bit the short stick here, they came into this major kind of in a similar situation as Liquid, where it felt like they needed to have a pretty strong performance. They won the minor, they made top 6 here. Now that they're officially locked for TI, walk us through kind of the development of this NIP roster as they've been under PPD for the last couple months.
I had a lot of skepticism. After PPD left Optic last year, I thought that Zai was probably his most important ingredient in that roster, but he ended up taking 33 with him. And initially, I was not really seeing, 33 is a fantastic player, and I think he was probably one of their best players during that Optic roster. But at the beginning of the season, it just wasn't really showing. And then they were still showing up to majors, which is important because in the European region, the most heavily contested region right now in the DPC, they were still making it through the qualifiers. Then finally in this most recent one, they didn't. They had to slug it through the minors, made it through all the way, And I think that same thing with Liquid. Liquid had to play a ton of games in that most recent major here. NIP had to play a ton of games in their minor run, ended up coming out on top. And I think it's that experience, while I'm sure it was grueling for the players, I think it was very, very important that they got that experience, because otherwise I wasn't really that confident in them. But they made it to TI now. They've locked in with their DPC rankings, and I think a part of that is, again, more often than not, teams being willing to struggle through the adversity as opposed to just kick a player and be like, let's just change something up and maybe that'll fix it.
Right.
And I mean, sometimes momentum in esports can be such a big thing, and momentum in different esports also has different values. How much do you think momentum has in Dota, where, for example, your Vici Gaming came through the minor last time as well, and then they won that major, so was it a similar situation for NIP?
I kept vocalizing the prophecy. If Vici Gaming were able to go from minor to major victories, maybe NIP could replicate it. And they got further than I was expecting, being able to make it through at least like the first round of the upper bracket and have a reasonably strong group stage despite being in one of the more difficult groups. I was encouraged by that. It's just that momentum is kind of it's balanced out by the fact that, to have momentum, you have to play a lot of games. And to play a lot of games, you have to do a lot of drafts. And so if you have a really strong captain who has a wide variety of strategies, your team has a wide variety of heroes, then you can get away with that kind of momentum. And I think that's what brought Vici Gaming so much success and their minor to major victory.
Right.
But with NIP, I think it was a little bit more narrow.
I want to talk a little bit about OG here, because they're slowly coming back into the picture.
Yeah.
Right? With Anna back into the picture. So top 6 actually puts them in a good place for TI. So what do you see as OG's trajectory for the last major? And maybe will our defending champs be able to lock in that TI spot and make a run at defending their title?
OG is an inscrutable team. I never really know what to make of them. I didn't know what to make of them last year. They assembled their roster basically a month before TI, and then they won the whole damn thing with it. And so obviously they were having a lot of difficulty at the beginning of this season, not having Ana, going through PyCat, ILTW, and basically just keeping Ana's seat warm until he finally returned into the fold. But it seemed like old times. After their qualifier, I spoke to Seb, and I was like, was there any growing pain? Ana had been off the team for like 6 months or something like that. Is there like a acclimation period or something like that? And he was like, no, it immediately just felt very, very comfortable. And they ended up coming into the major. I didn't have the highest expectations, and they beat Virtus Pro. And Virtus Pro has consistently been one of the best teams. And more often than not, I'll see these I'm not going to say fluke, because fluke is more often than not like being used as a kind of a negative connotation, but these unpredictable victories, these unpredictable rosters showing up, and OG showing up during this major with just bringing in Ana randomly. I didn't think they would be able to show that much comfortability, but they beat VP. They did not do very well against Liquid, but Liquid made it to the grand finals. So I think going into TI, I would be very, very surprised if OG didn't make it back into the DPC ranking to qualify for TI directly. Once we get to TI, we'll have to see how the patch favors them.
Yeah, you mentioned the OG VP match, and you said that OG beat them, but it was actually they kind of crushed them.
They
it was
handled them.
Two games less than 25 minutes, I believe, and then they went down to the lower bracketed VP, and then they lost to PSG LGD. So certainly not a team that you're ashamed about losing to, but it didn't feel like this was kind of your standard VP performance that you expect from them at a major. So what's your your read on where VP's pulse is at right now, and like heading into the next major? Because they certainly don't need the points, but it sure would be nice for them to get a win for momentum's sake.
Yeah, I keep saying that maybe VP have like senioritis, and like, oh, we've already qualified, whatever, we don't really play that saving strats and all that. I just say that for entertainment value. I do think that VP are champions at heart. They're going to try to play every single game as well as they can, but at the same time, like, they didn't do that well at this major, and then ESL Birmingham, which is coming up, they dropped out of it to participate in another LAN with probably not as high quality opponents, but maybe it would be an easier tournament to win. You get an easy prize pool, you have to travel less, stuff like that. And so part of it may be fatigue, part of it may just be that they're waiting until the next balance patch comes out. But VP, every single time that people consider them to be favorites coming into a TI, they don't win. So maybe this is their new plan, is to be like, we're going to go under the radar a little bit, we're going to take that target off of our back, and then maybe whenever it comes to TI, then we'll really put it on.
I love that plan.
Yeah, maybe sandbag right up until TI, so the pressure's a little bit less on us.
Works every time. It worked for OG last year.
They had inverse pressure. They had absolutely no pressure at all.
Yeah.
I want to talk about EG here because they finished top 3. Again, 3rd place finish for this DPC. What do you see as holding this team back from really reaching their full potential? Like, what ingredient really is missing here to put Evil Geniuses over the top?
I had alluded to it earlier. Every single time that I see EG play, I feel like they're not letting Sumail be as big of a playmaker as he has the potential for. Everyone knows what he's capable of. Ever since he first emerged on the scene, he's been on this team ever since he was in this competitive scene entirely. And I do think that it's cool to see that Arteezy is getting more and more stuff to do, because back in the days when Sumail would single-handedly carry games, then Arteezy would be relegated to like a way lower role, or Universe back in the day would be relegated to like a way lower role. Now it seems like Arteezy and Sumail are more hand in hand, but at the same time, I mean, there's nothing to be ashamed of with 3rd place. Being able to make it this high every single time is a feat in itself. But again, these players are champions. They want a victory. I'm sure Arteezy definitely wants to finally win a Valve event as a champion once and for all. And I think part of it may be hopefully Bulba finally, eases up on forcing Sumail to play like these Razors and the Vipers, these, lane winners, but not necessarily game winners, and give him something a little bit more interesting to do.
Now, we spent a lot of time talking about the European teams. We kind of touched on NA with EG here. I want to go to China, actually, because right now it kind of feels to me like there's really 2 main hopes, and they're both locked in for TI, that being PSG LGD and Vici Gaming. They both played pretty well, but didn't really make it further than like top 6. So what sets kind of those 2 teams apart from the rest of the Chinese pack in your eyes?
Making it to the major is the most important thing. Intra-regionally, China is very, very difficult to read. They play so much in within like their in-houses, and they have like, these random leagues that are just online tournaments. And in other regions, you don't really see that. Other regions, you'll have like online tournaments for like CIS or South America because they're trying to foster tier 2 talent, but you won't really see tier 1 teams play in those sorts of things. Whereas in China, you see that a little bit more frequently. And they also have a stronger emphasis on like academy teams or youth teams, where they will, try to see potential in like pub stars and then harness that by putting them in a competitive environment and see where they go. This year, it hasn't really panned out for them. Like you said, it's really only PSG LGD and Vici Gaming that have really broken through. But the rest of the Chinese teams are like bouncing around, like RNG or eHome. They have a lot of notable names, but they're not really going anywhere. And then even the other teams that have notable names, like Newbie with SCCC, like where has he been? And like now we have all these new qualifier teams showing up, like Sirius or something like that. Aster was another one. And all these, you'd think that like if they made it, then you'd be like, oh, obviously, they have such and such player. It makes so much sense that they're finally at this event. But it's not happening. And it's kind of troubling to me, because next TI is in China, and I really hope that a Chinese team is in grand finals. Otherwise, it's going to be pin drop silence over there.
Yeah, the cycle needs to be reestablished, and B, it's weird to not have like one of the handsomest men in Dota SCCC at all these tournaments,
That's
right?
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Okay, so Tsunami, what you're saying is that you don't see any other team at this point in time than the ones you named as coming up or being a legitimate threat.
Not yet, and it would probably take between this minor major cycle, I don't really see anything impressive happening. It's going to happen at TI itself if China wants to break through, because right now they are relying on the frontrunners of LGD and Vici Gaming to kind of carry the torch of the region, and hopefully they're coming back to the region and bringing the lessons that they learn and participating in these in-house tournaments and showing the region as a whole like we can power up. Because right now, even based off of who qualified for the major, nothing special is really happening, and that, gives me pause.
Yeah. Let's keep region hopping, if you don't mind. Let's touch on Southeast Asia, because they had a not very good major in Paris. Mineski made it the farther, which doesn't necessarily feel like a good sign when your Fnatic of the world are kind of going out early. So from your perspective, what happened with Fnatic and kind of see generally this tournament and kind of the future of the region as we look towards these intensely competitive kind of like last couple spots for TI?
Fnatic is troubling for me right now. Ice is my boy, so any team that he goes on, I will always root for.
I'm with you too.
Ride or die, but right now he's dying, and it's not good right now because at the major, like, okay, whatever. Maybe it's a bad tournament, something like that. They had a bad group stage. They also had a bad lower bracket. maybe it's excusable, but then even in the qualifier for this major, they got taken to Game 5 by a stack. It was Winter's stack, and so, Winter's a formerly accomplished player, not necessarily recently accomplished, and yet he was still able to take Fnatic to a Game 5 after having like an 11-hour qualifier run or something like that. And for a team that should be a lock for TI, I don't really think they should be taken to the limit like that, even intra-regionally. Whenever, like I said, for China, it's kind of difficult to read. Same thing with Southeast Asia. It's often difficult to read. But still, like, your top-tier teams should still look top-tier. And Fnatic hasn't really looked top-tier. And so, at the most, I'm hoping maybe the next patch, like Timbersaw's not very good right now. It's one of Isocice's favorite heroes. It's possible that may be contributing to it, but hopefully they step it up soon, because I think it's missed potential right now from Southeast Asia.
It would be such a shame to not see Abed, the boy wonder, have an amazing performance at TI again, right? So,
dude, I would every single time he's at a TI, I just pick him for easy fantasy points every time, because he will always show up, and it's easy.
I love that. It's so clutch. I want to talk about the future of NA, though, because there really seems to be like one team in it for too long. Like, we have Beast Coast and Complexity didn't really do anything. So how large is the gap between EG and the rest of North America? And what can teams like, Complexity and BC do to catch up?
I think that being one slot being taken away from North America is a good step in the right direction. As controversial as that is for me to say as a North American, I think that was the kind of tough love that the region needed. Now 2 of the minor victors will be going on to the major as opposed to 1. This is like something that very recently was implemented by Valve, and it was in the middle of the season, which was kind of unconventional, but I think it's because they don't really know what to do with these extra slots, and so why not just make it in a LAN environment? Like, once upon a time, we used to have like wild cards for TI, where a bunch of teams would be able to complete from different regions, and then that would determine who would be able to go on to like the main bracket of TI. And so I like the concept of being able to, congregate all these players in a minor environment and then see who's the best there. North America specifically, like you mentioned, Beast Coast Complexity, not necessarily high expectations for them, and they, much to the satisfaction of the people who were hoping they would fail, did not do well. Beast Coast, obviously very, very controversial due to their roster changes, and be specifically like kicking Gunner for like the second time on another team, and so a lot of people were rooting for them to fail, and that's never a good feeling whenever you come into a tournament. And so them kind of delivering on that was, I'm sure, very, very heartbreaking for them. And then even going into these upcoming tournaments, like it's not going to happen, because they're just not qualifying for these things as easily as they should be. So I think being able to tighten the belt on the number of slots available, hopefully that makes them feel a little bit more competitive, and hopefully EG's coming back to the region and like practicing with them, because with 3 European players, obviously they may not be tempted to play within their region, despite Valve's specific instructions that you really better. But EG is a known organization. I'm sure they're playing by the rules, but hopefully they're scrimming by the rules also, and scrimming with their regional partners. Otherwise, the gap is just going to widen, and North America is just going to look bad as we move forward.
Speaking of a team that was kind of right on the edge of those regional rules, and we're going to touch on our last region here, South America and Chaos. So obviously the big news for Chaos was they were probably one of the best teams in South America, or kind of that Latin America region, and they've decided to remove their roster. We's taking a break, Misery's going back to Europe, and they're leaving the region entirely. So what do you kind of see as the future of South America in this maybe like power void that's now happened? Oh, and Tfue, of course, went to North America as well.
Right.
So what do you see is kind of like happening in this region with the power void that happens when Chaos leaves?
I think the most disappointing thing about Chaos leaving is that, yet again, more of the leadership that is lacking heavily in South America kind of goes away. Not only because an organization that's very reputable is leaving, but because like Misery, like these established players who have played on tons and tons of different teams, made it to very, very high levels, he's leaving. And as a result, you're kind of left again with your South American compatriots, and you're looking for leadership within that region. And I don't think that's going to happen. We see these South American teams that will, look good for like one tournament, and then, due to relationship issues or the lack of leadership, then they'll just disband, and the players will go the separate ways. Like Tfue is going to North America, which I don't blame him for. He's a very, very skilled player, and I think that he will probably find more success going under a team like Complexity that will foster his talent, as opposed to just kind of like squeeze him for whatever he has and just like make it to a major and be like, all right, cool, we got some money, let's just peace out now.
Yeah, fair enough. One final question. and you better be truthful, Tsunami. How much money have you spent on the TI Compendium so far this year?
All right, so on the day that it was released, we were all at Disneyland, and like all of our laptops were patching at the same time. And so during the tournament, my laptop didn't make the cut, and so I just had to watch in the distance as everyone else was pouring in the money, and I would see a little tear roll down my cheek. But now I've gotten back home, and let's just say that the chat wheel siren song is very, very strong. And me being able to sell all the Crimson Witness treasures that I got at TI on the Steam market, and then, you know, it's a feedback loop. You know, Dota gives me money and then I put it back in.
That's right.
Let's just say it's past 3 digits pretty comfortably.
Oh.
The Gaben giveth and the Gabeth taketh away.
Exactly.
Tsunami, thank you so much. It's been fantastic to have you, but we've got to let you go. We were absolutely thrilled to hear you on the mic in Paris, so we hope to keep hearing you in the future.
It was a pleasure. Thanks so much, and I appreciate the kind words.
Fantastic insight. Fantastic beard also.
That's a beautiful beard win.
Thank you, might we add. Nick, we've got 2 minutes left here. So we got to talk about your choice for MVP of the tournament.
Yeah, so we talked about him briefly when we were touching on Liquid. There was a lot of choices here, honestly, but I thought Liquid Miracle had a really fantastic tournament. He stepped it up big time. And as Tsunami kind of mentioned, Liquid was enabling him.
Yeah.
And he absolutely delivered. He had some fantastic games on Morphling. His Morphling was really, really, really threatening. And when a player or a carry player the caliber of Miracles is putting up a performance on a carry like Morphling, it applies such tremendous pressure in the draft phase for the captains, because now the opposing captain's like, oh man, can we deal with a Morphling that's being played this well? Do we have to ban it? But also, he's just a very versatile weapon. He played on a fantastic game of TA. He played a couple great Monkey King games. His Jug is always a threat. Just a very, very great bounce back performance, and he was the carry that Liquid needed and deserved.
I feel like he should have gotten more than, you know, the named MVP prize. He should also get like a tea party with Mickey and all of his friends, since they're...
Yeah, Puppy was named the finals MVP, but the MVP in my heart was Miracle.
Right, no, of course, but like these people should get their own tea party. That's like
they
content
they got to ride roller coasters.
Okay, whatever. It's not the same, Nicholas, okay? We need to talk about money. Let's talk about money. The Compendium is like, I don't even know how they're shattering these records, but they're doing it. We have to talk about this.
Every single year, it seems like, I think, surely this is the one where it's just going to stay the same. But every single year, the Compendium or the Battle Pass or whatever they're calling it now is completely ridiculous. This year, it was the most amount of money in the first 24 hours in Dota 2 history. And I think we're 14 days ahead of schedule for where we were last year. So we're already at 50% of the prize pool from last year, and we're way ahead of schedule, 2 weeks ahead of schedule. So the items are just ridiculous, the amount of money that people are putting into this. It's just defying all logic and expectation every single year. And I think that I was actually talking to Tsunami before and he was mentioning that he thinks that like China had that Chinese pride, right? China's in the TI is in China this year, and they really want to get that prize pool as huge as possible, so that everybody knows that the Chinese TI was like the record setter.
But it comes from all over the world, obviously, all this money. So now I have to ask you, Nicholas, how much money have you poured into the Compendium?
Thankfully, none. I've actually,
Nicholas!
Yeah.
What do you mean, thankfully, none?
I've been spending too much on Magic cards.
We need to have an intervention for Nicholas and his Magic Gathering addiction.
I think we need to have interventions for Dota people and their Battle Pass addictions.
Okay, maybe just intervention.
It'll be a great big intervention for everybody.
Okay, yeah, tomorrow on the show we're gonna have an intervention.
CSGO crates, people can come in. The Overwatch loot boxes, everybody can show up, and we'll have a great big value box anonymous sort of thing going on.
Okay, so let me just get this right. Your addiction has hurt me in the following ways.
Oh Lord.
That's how it all starts. Okay, so get your list ready, everybody. We're gonna give Nick an intervention next time we have him on the couch. All right, Nick, we've got to wrap this up because that was a whirlwind of Dota. Of course, tomorrow on Esports in 30, I'm sitting down with my boy Zurich for FPS Friday, and of course we've got that unmuted before that. Till then, thank you Tsunami, thank you Nick, and thank you for watching. Make sure you hit us up on the socials just to say hi.
I love that Marissa was able to pry Nick from his Magic the Gathering cards in order to get him on the couch to talk Dota 2. I love it. Remember, we are back here starting at 1 p.m. Eastern with gameplay live from the Green Room. Then again at 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, we have more Unmuted. Then in Esports in 30, Marissa and Zurich are talking R6. You want more of us? Well, you could have more of us on our socials at Squad State and our YouTube channel for all the VODs in case you missed anything. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.